So in this video, we'll be going over daily notes. Specifically, we'll be going over the subsequent daily note. We've previously shown the evaluation notes and the initial daily note in previous videos. So if we open up the Epic workspace, when you start the visit, presumably you're chart reviewing beforehand, you'll click Start Visit, and you'll have the same tabs that you have seen in the previous videos. In this case, you'll go to Episode. You will make sure that this box is checked. So that means that this visit is linked to the appropriate episode. You'll also make sure that the diagnoses are also checked and that the appropriate primary diagnosis is also linked. And that's indicated by the diamond. So both of these are linked, but this is the primary diagnosis. Then you're going to go to your Notes tab. If you've seen the patient within the last 3 weeks, typically it will automatically fall into all notes, and you'll see your previous daily notes here. Because this is a test patient and we don't have previous daily notes, I've pre-populated a couple of example notes. So in this case, we're just going to copy forward an incomplete note rather than a signed note. Note, if it's been more than 3 weeks since you've seen the patient, then you won't be able to use this copy feature, as there will be no notes populated in this sidebar. I'll show you a subsequent way to go through that in a moment. But presumably it's a standard or the more typical example in which you've seen the patient within the last 3 weeks, and you open up here and you'll see your notes. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to click Copy Over. And when you click Copy, note that you can also hit Alt-Y, which is just a keyboard shortcut. In the Epic workspace, you can, as I say, hover to discover, and it will also give you the means by which you can use the keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to hit Copy. It's going to create a carbon copy of the note. I think it's important just to acknowledge the anatomy of the note that I utilize. It's a little bit busier than most, but there's method to the madness. So if we go to the top of the note, we again use the APSO format. So it's going to be assessment plan, subjective and objective. This is copy forward from the initial eval, as we saw in the initial daily note, and that's going to continue to move forward with us. What we will need to do is we will need to delete out the materials that we don't want from the assessment and plan smart section for DAX Copilot. If we haven't yet started recording in the DAX Copilot, presumably we're doing this preemptively before the patient arrives and before we do any dictation. In that instance, we can change this all that we want. That being said, if the encounter has already started, that is, we've already started to dictate using DAX Copilot, and then we go in here and manipulate it, the link between the dictation and this smart section will be what they call broken. It won't continue. The additional information that is recorded will not pre-populate here. So it's best practice to come in beforehand, before you start to dictate, delete out the information that you don't want. You don't have to delete all of it. For instance, sometimes I will leave the functional status and limitations, and I'll delete the rest. In this instance, when you do leave materials within the smart sections, the new information will populate below the previous information, and thus I will need to take this and manipulate it afterwards, because there will likely be 2 social histories and 2 functional status / activity limitation sections that populate based off their new subjective. In this instance, I'm just going to delete it all so it's nice and clean. We have our other 2 smart sections there to the physical exam and results. And this, for the most part, is the absolute necessity of the components of the note. Everything beyond this is kind of, as I mentioned, a little bit of my own madness, but there are methods to it. So I also have previously demonstrated within the eval note that I utilize these tables in order to track outcomes over time. So this information is just copied forward from the previous notes. I pre-populated some information here, as you can see, for the tracking of the knee range of motion after the subsequent surgeries that the test patient has presumably had. After you get through the objective section is the intervention section, and then I just the way I do it, just for my future self and keeping track of what has transpired, is I just keep a running log of all the interventions. So during the week of 12/22/2024, these are the interventions that we did. During the week of 1/7/2025, these are the interventions that we did, so on and so forth. And then at the bottom of the note, what I will also do is use the smartphrase.tdv, as in today's visit, and then that will populate the new section for which I will populate the interventions for this coming visit. Oftentimes, not shown here, but I will have like next visit. Let's back up just a second. So typically it will look like this, next visit, and then I'll have text in here as far as all the additional interventions that I was going to do. So I will just put a little bit of space there in between it. And so I have my plan here that I previously thought out. And then I will populate the TDV smart phrase immediately above it. And that is the workflow for the subsequent daily note. And I'll hit accept. It will, those changes will be saved in the sidebar. I can pen the note. And then when the patient comes in, I'm ready to rock and roll. All I go here is I go edit, and I'd reopen the note. Okay, so that is the standard workflow. I did speak about the fact that there may be instances in which you haven't seen the patient for some time, and there are no notes here, and thus you can't use this copy forward function. So everything else remains the same, except for the information of the process in which you get the information into the new note. So in those instances, you'll come up to the DAX daily quick button. You'll click that, and it will create an empty template for your daily note. And in this case, we will need to manually copy it over. So you could do, one option would be going back to chart review, clicking on a previous note. For instance, 1/31/2025, you could click on that, and you could copy and paste these sections over. Typically, that's not what I do, but it is an option. The other option that I usually do is if I click on this small little button here, this is copy text from an earlier note into this note. So if I click this, it's going to open up a window, and I'll be able to pre-select the previous daily notes that have existed for this patient. In this instance, I would then just grab the information that I deem most relevant. So typically I'm going to grab this information for my primary. And if I hit F2, right, it just jumps between the different sections that I need to fill in. So that would be that. And then I would click this button again. Note if I hit accept here, it's going to take this note that's in this pane and completely wash out my current note or add it in addition to that note, depending. And so I don't want that to happen. So you're not going to click accept. All you're going to do is you're going to strategically capture the information that you want from the previous note. So this information, lifestyle and physical activities / limitations, is often information that I put in. So I hit that, I hit cancel. I put that under the contextual information from the initial eval. And then I need one more copy and paste, and that would be my objective materials and my interventions, which starts here. And typically there's additional interventions that have taken place below. In this case, there's not, so I won't be copying that. I hit F2 to jump between the fields, and then I hit my .tdv, and then I'm ready to rock and roll. All right, and so that would be the alternative workflow that you can utilize to populate your subsequent daily note.